fellow FPL managers. Today we are looking at my game week 35 team selection. Let's get right into it. Now today we're going to be looking at my team for this game week, but also the future plans because I still have my bench boost intact. So we're going to be looking at that as well. There's not much team news going on. As of when I'm recording this, the double/blank game weeks haven't been announced yet. They may not even get announced at all. But knowing my luck, they'll get announced as soon as I'm done recording. Now, as for my recent rank, you'll see in the bottom left corner of the screen, my recent game weeks, their scores popping up. I've been on a massive downfall, guys. I was 42k overall in game week 29. I'm now outside the top 100k as of game week 34, which is when I just used my wild card. The game week before that, I used my triple captain for 2 points. I'm on some bad form, guys, okay? It's not looking good, but I'm still pushing for top 50k because I do have my bench boost left remaining, and I think it can do me nicely in game week 36. So we're also going to be discussing that. As for my team this game week, which is what we're here for, we've got the defense first of all. We've got Martinez in goal. I haven't used this guy all season, and to be honest, Aston Villa's form is better than I've realised. You know, they're actually doing quite well, keeping a fair few clean sheets. As for the rest of the defence, guys, it's a little risky in the Man City defence because we've doubled up on the Man City defence. Now, the Man City defence looks quite solid. It looks like they're going to keep a couple clean sheets from now until the end of the season, which is pretty good. The big risk here is I've chosen Ruben Diaz, because his minutes aren't 100% secure. And fun fact about Man City, there are no players in their team except Gavardio with secure minutes, which made it really tough. You know, I kind of wish I could have picked Edison, but Edison was, you know, he's an injury risk at the end of the day. He might not even play himself. So literally no one is safe, which is why I've gone with Gavardio and Diaz. If Diaz does start and Man City keep clean sheets, that is huge for me. The double Man City defence is a good differential to have. Even though they're both centre-backs and probably not going to get me any goal involvements whatsoever, you know, the 6-pointers, maybe 7-8-pointers with bonus points will do me nicely. They will help out my overall rank, which is in desperate need of fixing. Then we got Livramento, who was like the only Newcastle defender that didn't get a goal involvement last game week, which is kind of annoying because on my wild card, I could have got Dan Burn. In fact, I sold Dan Burn on the wild card. I could have got Trippier. To be honest, looking back, I don't know why I didn't, because I instead got Livramento on a mere 6-pointer. So he better be making up the difference in the future game weeks, or else I'm going to be very unhappy with him. Looking at the midfield now, guys, I know what some of you are thinking. You know, I've doubled up on the Liverpool midfield. That's not very smart. They've already won the league, and I know that. I do. But let's be real. They're not just going to stop trying, especially Salah. We all know Salah wants to get the most goal involvements in a Premier League season ever, and he's still chasing that Ballon d'Or, you know. It's not over just yet. As for Luis Diaz, I do understand the concern, okay? I do get it, but I think he's going to get some minutes either way. Even if he does come on as a sub, you know, he's got a good impact off the bench. But if I had to guess, I would say he starts. I mean, Liverpool are going to want to finish on as many points as possible. They've not got any other competitions to play in. They're not just going to get the Premier League trophy and stop trying. They're still going to try and get some more points. They want to make their Premier League season as good as it can be. So I don't think Liverpool players are just going to become dead assets and not good to own. I still think they can carry their own weight a little bit. Either way, I'm selling Luis Diaz next game week anyway. This is his last game week in the team. As for Harvey Barnes, I understand some of you may think he's not a reliable Newcastle midfielder, but I believe he is. I believe he's on the best form out of Murphy, Barnes and Gordon. Out of those three, he is on the best form. He may even win Premier League Player of the Month. He's also higher than Jacob Murphy and Gordon on the expected minutes. The most likely scenario here we're looking at is that Gordon has actually lost his place in the starting 11, which is weird to think. If you told me that a few months ago, I'd laugh you out the room, but because Murphy and Barnes are both so good, they're both Player of the Month nominations, it's no surprise that Gordon has been left out of the team. I'm not saying it's going to stay that way. I'm not saying Barnes is going to hold his starting position for the rest of the season, even though I hope he does. I kind of need him for next week on my bench boost. I do believe for this game week, he is, you know, pretty much not guaranteed, but I think he's very likely to start. So if you guys are looking for a Newcastle midfielder against a Brighton team that have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 6 games, he's probably the one to go for. And I know what you're thinking, you know, 2 goals isn't that much. You know, conceding 2 goals in a game isn't crazy. But if you look at their opponents, it's kind of embarrassing. The final midfielder we got is Mbumo, and I'm still considering making this guy my captain. I'm very close to it. As a Man United fan, I know what Man United are like, okay? They make mistakes. They concede a lot of penalties and they're not on the best form in the league. But with that being said, in the last few games, defensively, they've been fairly sound, and it's not even been easy games. They've been defensively sound, and it's been against opponents that can attack.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Which makes me reluctant to pick Mbeumo, but on paper, he is without a doubt the best captain, in my opinion. It's just, one, I'm a Man United fan. I don't really want to be betting against my own team, but I also think there is a slightly better, more reliable option in the front line that we'll talk about later. Mbeumo is one of those weird guys. For me especially, it's like whenever I do own him, he doesn't want to get any points. When I don't own him and the entire game does, that's when he wants to get 16 pointers, 18 pointers week in, week out. So knowing my luck, Mbeumo is going to do nothing for the rest of the season, but hopefully when he's in my team, he can actually do something for once. As for the forwards, the captain I was just talking about, I am talking about Isak. I did just talk about how Brighton have been poor defensively recently, and I'm backing that, I'm standing by it. I think Newcastle are probably going to score around 3 goals, and I expect Isak to be at the centre of it all. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know Newcastle are going to score 3 goals. Don't hold me to that. Don't quote me on it, They could end up scoring 0. My point is, Brighton are looking shaky and Newcastle are an insane attacking force. So you put 2 and 2 together and you work out, hey, you know what? Isak is a fairly good captaincy option. And he's got the pedigree, He's been popping off all season. And I hear some people, I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, well, Mbeumo's got more points than Isak this season, so surely Mbeumo's got that source as well. And technically you're right, he does, but I've already told you guys why I don't want to captain him. If you do want to captain Mbeumo, insanely valid option, 50-50 decision. Isak's form hasn't been insane recently. He's scored 2 out of his last 7 big chances, one of those being a penalty, but the non-penalty expected goals for Isak on his recent form is still pretty high, and we know he can finish them. But it's just recently he hasn't been, but I'm kind of betting on the fact he's going to get shooting boots back on very, very soon. For the other guys in attack, Marmoush, if you look at the bookies odds, is technically the most likely player to get a goal involvement, the most likely player to score 2+ goals, which means, realistically speaking, he's the best captain. Using common sense, we know he obviously isn't because he's not been good at shooting almost the entire season. He had that 1 hat-trick. Apart from that, he's been missing big chances and underperforming his expected goals. It's not a player you really want to rely on for captaincy, especially with the rotation in that Man City team. It's just not worth it. He may end up being the right option, but the most likely scenario is that he is just going to let you down. Either way, an amazing player to have in my team. I'd be very, very scared if I was going without him, because with the amount of chances he gets, he does have the potential to get a big haul, and I want him in my team for that in case he gets one. I just, don't necessarily think he will. As for Cunha, it's kind of a tough spot. I was choosing between Cunha and Kluivert for the final slot on my team, but eventually I came to the decision, I've got double Man City defense. If that double Man City defense does fail, it's most likely at the hands of Cunha. He's most likely landed the final blow in my Man City clean sheet that I will no longer be getting, so I at least want some points from my attackers if the defenders ain't going to get any. You guys get what I'm saying? It's technically a win-win scenario. I mean, realistically a win-lose scenario. I either get Cunha points or Man City defense points, but I'm getting the best of both worlds, and to be honest, I don't think Kluivert's going to do too much against Arsenal because he's not been doing too much against the easy teams either. Now, obviously, as I was editing, it turns out there are no more double and blank game weeks. So we're talking about future plans a little differently now. So going into it, there will be no double in game week 36, but we can still get good value out of the bench boost. If you look here at the team, the starting 11, it looks insane. There's no two ways about it. That's not up for debate. What we need to decide is whether we're getting a lot of value out of this bench boost. Now, if you look at the bench, we've got Martinez, just a bit of point fodder there. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, maybe a 3-pointer if we're lucky. And if he saves a penalty or something, he gets lucky like that. All it does is hurt me because it would mean Kluivert missed the penalty. Then we got 2 Newcastle players playing home to Chelsea, and Chelsea aren't on the best form at the moment. So Harvey Barnes, if he's starting, that's a promising player. Then we got Livramento, if he's starting as well, which he should be. There's a small chance for a clean sheet. It's not amazing though. I don't love it. And then we got Robinson finishing it off, playing home to Everton, which I quite like, to be honest. I think it's going to be quite a high chance of a clean sheet. The problem is it doesn't look nearly as good as it would have if there was a double game week. So my thing is, I may end up saving the bench boost for game week 38 instead. Now, this plan for a game week 38 bench boost is risky because it's game week 38. Some things might already be decided by that point, which means certain teams and certain players are less motivated to do anything. But I do think the look of this bench is a little better than the one in Game Week 36. We got the double Forest defence playing home to Chelsea, which I quite like. Forest are a very good defence, and they're fighting for Champions League football probably all the way to the very end. Then, instead of Harvey Barnes playing home to Chelsea, he's playing home to Everton, which is a much better fixture, and then finishing it off with Gavardio for Man City, who will also be fighting for Champions League football, playing away to Fulham. So ideally, I'm going to stick to this bench boost if I can, if I'm brave enough to. At the end of the day, it is such a risk, but I do believe Game Week 38 is where I'm going to get the most value out of my bench boost. I want you guys to let me know if you think I'm being silly, if you think the Game Week 36 bench boost is actually the best way forward. If you did make it this far, thank you very, very much for watching. You are greatly appreciated, as always, and I will see you guys in Game Week 36.